We all know that Donald Trump never misses an opportunity to spew his vile bile, to complain, to whine, to get angry, to get upset. And that is exactly what he did on his way to the Super Bowl in a newly released quasi-interview, quasi-press conference in which he was asked about his new declaration of renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. 'Cause that's what matters. But what actually matters is the questions he was asked by legitimate reporters. Something TR doesn't usually allow to happen often about real issues, and when he lost his mind after being confronted on one very specific issue that we're going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means a lot to me. Now, before we get into the question, Donald Trump was asked about his pardoning of January 6th. Rioters. I want to check out what he had to say about comments J.D. Vance made recently.
A couple of court losses, Mr. President, and J.D. Vance said judges aren't allowed to control the executive power. What's your take on that?
Well, we're going to see what happens. We have a long way to go, and we're talking about fraud, waste, abuse, and when a president can't look for fraud and waste and abuse, we don't have a country anymore. So we're very disappointed with the judges that would make such a ruling. But we have a long way to go. We have to find all of the fraud that's going on. We have tremendous fraud, tremendous waste, and tremendous abuse, and theft, by the way. And the day you're not allowed to look for theft and fraud, etc., then we don't have much of a country. So no judge should frankly be allowed to make that kind of a decision.
We talked about this in a previous video, and I've really been stewing with it, that J.D. Vance kind of announced a new fascist agenda via tweet saying that he's not going to listen to court orders. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, the two presidents will not listen to court orders when inevitably their criminal and unconstitutional actions are struck down. And it's a little bit shocking to me that Donald Trump is mentioning J.D. Vance. It seems like he's kind of been kicked to the curve. But I guess when they're talking about breaking the law, then they can both get on board. But this is insane. It's a crazy statement to make from Trump that he will not be listening to any checks on his power. But that's what we've come to expect from Trump. At this point, he doesn't really care and is willing to break all of his promises and all of his commitments. A great example of that coming right here.
Mr. President, back on Gaza. The White House press secretary told us last week that you're committed to rebuilding Gaza. Steve Witkoff said that process would take 10 to 15 years. Does your commitment to rebuilding Gaza extend beyond your time in office?
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our auspices. But we're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back into. The place is a demolition site. It'll be, the remainder will be demolished. Everything's demolished. I mean, you can't live in those buildings right now. They're very unsafe. But we'll make it into a very good site for future development by somebody. We'll let other countries develop parts of it. It'll be beautiful. People can come from all over the world and live there. But we're going to take care of the Palestinians. We're going to make sure they live beautifully and in harmony and in peace, and that they're not murdered. This has been the most dangerous site anywhere in the world.
Remember, when Donald Trump was trying to push this narrative that he was angry with Liz Cheney, or didn't like Liz Cheney campaigning with both Harris because he's so anti-war and she's so pro-war. It wasn't the fact that Liz Cheney called out Donald Trump for being the insurrectionist that he is. It's not that Liz Cheney put party over country, country over party. Not like Donald Trump puts himself over country all the time, but to call out his criminality and point out all the very obvious reasons why he shouldn't be president. No, it was about being anti-war. And now Trump wants to invade Gaza and Canada and Panama and Mexico and really any other landmass. He can possibly find the anti-war president, that is, Donald Trump, wants to restart endless wars in the Middle East. It's great, Donald. That's great. And speaking about those invasions and taking overs, listen to what he had to say about Canada, right here.
We're making our country larger. We're making our country stronger. And in the case of Canada, if this should happen, I don't know how they can do it without us, because without the U.S., Canada really doesn't have a country. They do almost all of their business with us. And if we say we want our cars to be made in Detroit, with the stroke of a pen, I can do that. And other things in addition to that would not allow Canada to be a viable country.
I go back and forth on what the reason that Trump so badly wants Canada to become a 51st state is. And I really think it's because he sees the size of it on the map and his kind of little PE brain goes, oh big, I want. Because he thinks it's the same thing with Greenland. He thinks if he can expand the United States as territory, and he's a real estate guy, and land, and acquisitions, and maybe I can get them to call it, New Trump land or whatever, I don't know, that'll be the defining moment of his legacy. I also think Trump just wants to distract, and I think he thinks he has an enemy that he can pick on with Canada, not knowing that doing so is already raising prices because Trump doesn't care, but again, this is all it is, breaking promises, trying to distract from the fact that he's broken promises and that he's just a liar all the time and always. And that was pointed out by a journalist on the plane asking Trump about his pardoning of January 6th insurrectionists as he was about to go visit first responders. And his response was exactly what you'd expect Canada right here.
The Vice President suggested that if the Supreme Court rules in a way that you don't like, they can just enforce it by themselves. Do you agree with that?
I don't know even what you're talking about. Neither do you. Who are you with?
Up close, sir.
Who?
Up close.
Oh, no wonder. I thought they died. Are they still around? I haven't read them in years. I thought they died. All right, go ahead. Who else?
They've never really been able to square that circle or circle that square that circle. Whatever it is, this doesn't matter. What matters is that Donald Trump pardoned 1,500 cop beating insurrectionist. Not the phrase that matters. I think it's square that circle. But no, they've never been able to explain that one. Why the party that backs the blue was so happy to turn their back on the police officers who defended the Capitol from a violent mob. Why is it that so many of those people who were pardoned by Donald Trump also got off for other crimes that they've committed? Why is it that those people are already committing crimes again? You talk about this invasion of people let out of prisons in their own countries coming to America. But you are happy to let out violent criminals onto our streets. Like I said already, causing problems again. Like I said, previous history of criminal action. And Trump didn't care, let them all out. He said that's kind of what the Trump administration is. We're going to do things and break things and act so quickly and so criminally that we're not even going to notice what goes wrong, and we're just going to have to deal with it after. But the people who are dealing with it are us. The country is getting worse, and quickly, because of Donald Trump, but clearly he doesn't see it that way.
There's a light over the United States. People are happy. They're more confident. The approval ratings for this country have gone through the sky. More than at any time we've had approval ratings that there's never been anything like it. We've never seen 49 points up. 49 points up. And I think there's a light actually long beyond this country, all over the world. I've been called by other leaders. They said, sir, there's a light over our country right now. There's a light over the world.
Maybe I missed that day or that week when the light was shining bright on America because of dear leader Donald. I haven't noticed it. I've noticed a lot of people who are insecure about where their next meal is coming from, whether they'll have their medical insurance, whether people's homes in California will be rebuilt, whether Donald Trump is cutting off aid to devastated communities. People are unsure if they'll have jobs that they were promised in the federal government. Some friends of mine who accepted positions within the FBI, within the DOD. Now don't think those jobs are coming to them. People worried about grants to study science, do important research, and combating treatable illnesses School teachers across the country worried if there will be funding for them because the Department of Education is gone. No light. Donald Darkness, all because of you. Directly because of you. And let's not forget about Elon him as well. I got to give them both credit for being equally criminal, corrupt, and crazy. Speaking of crazy again, this man can't focus for a second. Look what he said right here.
Why do you want to be chairman of the Kennedy Center Board?
Because I want to make sure it runs properly. We don't need woke at the Kennedy Center. We don't need, some of the shows were terrible. They're a disgrace that they were even put on. So I'll be there until such time as it gets to be running right.
Have you seen any shows there? How do you know they're
I
terrible?
didn't go. No, I got reports it was so bad I didn't want to go. There was nothing I wanted to see. Thank you very much, everybody.
How is this the reality that we're living in, that our president is going off on rants about the Kennedy Center? That's number one. That's priority. Number one, top of the list. People are focused on prices. Not Donald Trump. He's focused on performances plays, because that's what we need our president locked in on. It's nonsense. We're going to call out on the show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.